Hello and welcome to the 115th episode of the Sock Bunny Knit and Fit video podcast. My name is Kimberly, also known as Sock Bunny.
And I am Colleen, also known as DC Knitter.
And we are recording in beautiful Washington, D.C.
Yay!
Yay! Today is Saturday, October 26, 2013. I am on vacation and I am staying with the beautiful hostess of the DC Unraveled podcast, and your username is
DC Knitter.
And she has an audio podcast, and it's about knitting, of course.
Right.
And what else is it about?
It's about Washington, D.C. So basically, I usually profile a neighborhood and some history about the city and talk about our local yarn shop, which we're going to talk about a little bit later.
Yes. So. And it's really interesting. So you should go right now and download it. Pause me. Go find her podcast, DC Unraveled. Don't forget to come back. And then become an all-time favorite listener of hers.
Thank you. But Kimberly will be on my next podcast.
Yes.
So check that out.
We recorded that earlier. So yeah, so it has been a wonderful visit here.
Fun.
We've had a great time. I've been here for a couple of days, so we'll talk about that later. First, we are going to talk about, what are we going to talk about? Do you want to do, well, you can't
see.
She can't see the rundown. She normally wears glasses, but she was like self-conscious.
No, the glare was really bad.
Yes, it was making her uncomfortable, so she decided to,
go without the glasses.
Go without the glasses. That's okay. So we are going to talk about works in progress, fitness, stash enhancement, favorite things, and then what we did Friday and Saturday on my visit here. So first, we will talk about works in progress. So you want to go first?
Sure. First of all, I'm working on, I actually just brought the finished sock, but I'm almost done. Can you even see that on there?
Yeah.
This is just a,
here, I'll hold it closer.
Plain vanilla toe-up sock for my husband who has size 13 feet.
Wow.
Yeah, big. And I am just in the process of doing the heel for the second one. That's just the yarn.
Oh, that's the extra yarn inside.
The extra yarn inside. And I've been working on these for months. I actually cast them on to be sort of part of the, what was that? The sock
extravaganza!
And I obviously did not finish in time. But I am going to be finished with these. And this is wool that I bought. I went on a trip to Europe last March, and I bought this wool in
Which
Germany.
She talked about on her podcast.
I did.
It was very interesting.
And anyway, it's a great yarn, and it's like, I wouldn't call it self-striping, but gradient.
Yeah, it's a great.
Yeah, it's a nice yarn.
Yeah.
And then I'm also working on, should I show for
yes, show them
here?
Okay,
first. So I am also working on a tunic. I'm calling it my lace tunic, and it's called the Wakami. I think Wakami, is that how you say that? I think Wakami tunic pattern by Angela Hahn. And now this is where I'm really going to need your help since I can't see. Is that?
Yeah, look at that. That is gorgeous. So the part that you're working on now is the bottom part, right down here, and you knit it across, and then you're going to. You said. Because on her most recent podcast, she explains how she's knitting.
Right. So this is what I have so far. I'm probably about halfway. I'd say about halfway done with the part that goes around your hip.
You cast it on provisionally.
Yeah. So you cast on provisionally. So this end right here with these skinny stitches is my provisional. And then right now I'm working on it. It's actually a pretty simple lace and cable pattern. I don't know if it's showing up.
Wow. Yeah, that looks good. Yeah.
And then I will be picking up, I think, at the top of this and then knitting up.
So this will be joined
in the round. So it'll be in the round. So it'll look like that. And then you knit up and then the sleeves down. And this is, I don't know if you can really tell, it's a beautiful,
very
blue-gray, drapey, 100% silk yarn called Cascade from Tess. It's a Tess Yarn Works, and they only sell at Fiber Festivals. So I bought this at Maryland Sheep and Wool about 3 or 4 years ago.
It's gorgeous.
So those are my two, actually right now, regular works in progress.
Those are both very pretty.
That's it.
Yes. I am getting no knitting done because I'm so busy seeing Washington. The only thing I have worked on since I got here is my sock head hat, which I am making out of Marathon Sock Seattle. And here it is. Wow.
It's so pretty.
It really is pretty. It's purples and a little bit of maybe a wine color.
Yeah.
It's a little
A
bit
little bit
redder
teal.
than what
A
you're
little
seeing here.
teal.
Yeah, a
I
little
think.
bit of teal. So it's turning out okay.
And
It's
it's ribbed. It's ribbed.
ribbed for, it's a free pattern. I think it's ribbed for 4 inches, and then you knit stockinette for 7 inches more,
And then it's a
you,
slouchy.
yeah, it's a slouchy hat.
Well,
I
in
just
our house
finished
we
one
call that.
recently.
I'm sorry. In our house we call that a hipster hat.
A hipster hat.
Step a little.
Yes. So that is all I have done because we've been so busy. So that's work in progress. Let's talk about fitness. As you might know, if you are a regular watcher, I have my monthly fitness along, and we have 2 contests. We have a poster along and a fitness along, and you can see all the rules in the Sock Bunny group on Ravelry. So we both wear Fitbit pedometers.
I'm even pull mine out.
Okay, show them yours. I wear the Fitbit Zip.
And I have the Fitbit One.
Mine just does steps. And mine is just, it clips on. I keep it clipped down here. It keeps, just does steps. Yours does a little bit more.
Mine does steps. I don't know if you can see that.
How many steps are you at today?
Today,
Oops.
whoops, we're at 10,792
How'd you get ahead of me?
I walked more in the Basilica because I had to go find the
Oh, that's
bathroom.
right, yes.
And then it also tells you we've walked 24 stairs today, which is pretty good.
24 flights of stairs.
And we've gone 4.71 miles. We've burnt a little under 2,000 calories, and the activity level's been moderate. So that, and it's 8:45 p.m. here in DC. So that's what my Fitbit tells me. It's a 1, and
A Fitbit 1?
It's I think it's called the 1.
Okay.
And it syncs up to my iPhone, so it also, I can record my sleep on it.
Yeah.
And I'm obsessed, totally, as Kimberly now knows, totally obsessed with it.
And you said that when you wear it at night, you put it on a wristband?
Yeah, it goes on a little wristband, so I take it out. Anybody who has one of these probably knows. So it's just like this little thing. I take it out. It slips into a pouch. Whoops.
Oops, you dropped it.
Thank you.
There you go.
And I just keep it on my wrist, and then it tracks how restless I am when I wake up, and actually how many steps I walk in the night.
Wow.
It's usually about 100.
Going to the bathroom.
Going to the bathroom and getting glasses of water. So anyway, since I actually, my target is 10,000 steps a day, and I'm actually pretty good. I mostly get 10,000 steps a day. Since Kimberly's been here, I've done a little bit more.
Yeah, we've been walking a lot. So, but you really impressed me. You had 1 month where you did
every day,
every single
over
day
10,000.
for the month. She had over 10,000 steps,
and I'm really bad about recording in her fitness along. So
can't win if you
I
don't
should
play.
be a winner, but
you should be. You probably would have won by now. So you need to hop on that.
So, but we have been walking a lot.
Yes. Yeah. It's been great though. But I think my Fitbit only says 7,000 steps,
I know,
so you must have walked a lot.
You know, the one also is it's calibrated. Yours may not be. It's calibrated to your own personal step.
Oh, I think I can calibrate mine, and I just haven't. So yeah, so I'm just happy. It really, for me, it's not like I need to get an exact number of steps. It just shows me how active I am. It makes me more active in trying to reach goals. So there you go. And as you guys probably will remember, all the stuff that I'm buying on this trip, well, most of the stuff I'm buying on this trip will have to be earned by steps. So every
you can't use it until.
Yes, I cannot use it until I earn it. Every 300,000 steps, I earn a prize. So, except the thing I bought today, I probably will not go. But we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, so that's fitness. Stash enhancement. Wow, what a good segue.
Oh, it is.
So today we went to Looped Yarn Works, and that's in downtown.
It's in DuPont Circle.
DuPont Circle.
DC. It's my podcast is produced by Looped Yarn Works.
Yes. And you work there as an instructor.
I'm an instructor. I used to, sometimes I go and help out. Last year I was working on Saturdays, but this year my life's kind of crazy, so I'm not working regularly.
Yeah. So she's selling her house. If you need a house in Washington, D.C.,
please come by.
She's got a house for sale.
It's been on the market 3 weeks. I'm desperate. No, I'm not desperate. I'd like it.
She would like for it to sell. So we went to Looped Yarn Works, and I went with a specific thing in mind, and I ended up not getting that because we were at the register ready to pay, and I saw this. So I have to show you. As you guys who watch know, I love American history, and since I saw the monuments, which we'll talk about later. I saw a lot of the monuments last night. We walked around and saw them at night. So I found a hat pattern. and it is called A Capital Hat, and it has some of the monuments on it. It's color work. I'm trying to get it to where you can see it really well. So this is a pattern, and you know this person?
I do. Jess Decker is the designer.
Jess Decker. So
she was the manager at Loop. She lives out in Missouri now, but
okay. So she was local, but she's not local
yeah.
now. And then the yarn, it was actually a kit, and the yarn is scrumptious, and it is Wandering Wool, and she's a local dyer.
She's a local indie dyer. My friend Joelle dyes her. She sells and dyes her yarn from Washington D.C. She also works at Looped 1 or 2 nights a week.
And it's wanderingwool.com.
She has an Etsy shop.
And also, I'm sure, can you order it from Looped?
You can, but you might do, actually, in all honesty, you might do better going to her Etsy shop.
Okay. Okay.
Her yarns are wonderful.
These are magnificent. So I got, in the kit, it came with red, white, and blue for the hat. So I put back the other thing that I was going to get. And
you're not going to say what you were going to get?
Well, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
Well, you don't hurt anybody's feelings.
Well, I was going to get some Quince & Company because they sell Quince & Company yarn there, and I've never seen it in real life. And I really liked it, and I was going to get it. And I would have gotten it had I not been tempted by the crazy Washingtonian hat.
Did you want to show the inside and show what's on the hat?
Can I do that?
Yeah, I think you can.
Okay, so she has charts in here, and it's got, I'll just briefly flash the charts so nobody could get any.
They're not going to be able to count them that quick. So.
Yeah. So the charts have, let me find one. That is a good one. All right, so this is a chart. It's got 4 things on here.
Right. So I'll say what they are, as far as I can tell. So, it's interesting. So this is the DC flag, which a lot of people aren't familiar with, but
I've never seen it.
It's really important. This is the DC flag, and then this is the Capitol, obviously, and everybody probably knows this. It's the Washington Monument, and this is the White House.
Yay! So how cool is that?
So that's the hat. It's in the round.
That's what the hat is.
Wonderful.
And this
is. Can you see her? This is my crazy dog Addie, who's in love with Kimberly.
We are
because none of the rest of us ever pay any attention to her.
She's neglected. Oh, you sweet thing.
Go to your bed.
Okay, go there. Okay, you want to sit? 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 She doesn't mind me, just like everybody else.
Addie, go to your bed.
Unless you're going to knit this, you are going to have to go lay down.
We might have to just ignore her.
All right, that's okay. All right, so that was my stash enhancement. And I'll talk about my other stash enhancement when we went to the Smithsonian.
Okay, cool.
All right, so I'll just leave this here for now since she's learning. All right. Okay, you're all right.
Don't pat her. She'll go away.
Okay, so let's talk about favorite things. This week, I am going to let Colleen do the favorite thing. So what is your favorite thing that you want to talk about this week? And don't say me, because that's obvious.
You're not a thing.
Thank you very much.
I really couldn't say.
And you can't say John because he's not a thing either.
No, he's not. No. He's not. That's it.
Right.
So actually, my favorite thing I would say, this is really ridiculous, but it is my Fitbit. It's a combination of my Fitbit and my iPhone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good favorite thing.
It is because I'm
because it really motivates you.
It does. It totally motivates me, and there are a few people that are my friends on Fitbit, and there's one in particular. I don't know. I'll have to see if I'll make sure she looks at your podcast. She's one of my podcast listeners. Julia Fitznitz is her name, and she and I are like always neck and neck with each other. So every night before I go to bed, I'm like, she's 300 steps ahead of me, so I will go out and walk around the block to get ahead of her.
See, there you go. That's
but then
motivation.
She's in Illinois, and I wake up in the morning and she's gone. So
because she's behind you, and
but
she's like, "What? She passed me? Oh, I'm going after her."
But it's fun. So I would say right now, that's my favorite thing.
That's cool. That's good. Hey, whatever works, because that's what this podcast is all about: motivating yourself to exercise, whatever it takes. So that's really cool. Okay, so now we are going to talk about.
You're not going to talk about everything?
No, I didn't pick one.
Oh.
My favorite thing is Washington.
Not a thing either, but that's okay.
America.
All right, okay.
It's a combination of things. So at this point, I'm going to talk about my trip. So if you don't want to hear about that, then I will see you next week. I'm actually leaving tomorrow. I'm going to be having brunch with a viewer who is Max Nick, who is Nicole. And we're going to have brunch in the morning, and then I'm going to get on the train overnight. The train leaves at 4 o'clock in the afternoon from Lorton, Virginia, and I will arrive probably around 8 or 8:30 in the morning on Monday in Florida, where it is much warmer. And so I'll be home on Monday. I'm going to take Monday afternoon and Tuesday off. I won't be checking Ravelry messages or any of that kind of stuff. And then Wednesday I'll be back to my normal life. So if you don't want to hear about the rest of my Washington trip, which I don't know why you wouldn't,
I don't know why you wouldn't either.
then feel free to leave. But everybody else, if you want to hang in there, I'm just going to talk about pretty much. Well, I'll talk about when I left my friend Michelle, because I recorded last Wednesday, and then Thursday. Well, Wednesday after I recorded, I like did laundry and packed and all that kind of stuff, and then Thursday morning I drove and I left. I actually I stopped by the shrine, the Divine Mercy Shrine, one last time, and I was there for about 15 minutes. So I left there at about 8:15, and I mentally prepared myself for a 12-hour drive, because you just never know what it's going to be like. Because I was driving through, let's see, I was in Massachusetts. I was going to go through New York and then New Jersey.
Right, and the New York City area can be really
it can be crazy. So I went through New York, then New Jersey, and then Delaware, Maryland,
DC,
and then DC. And I had a magnificently smooth trip. I made it in 8 hours.
Which is pretty remarkable when you're driving by yourself.
I don't know how it happened, except
and
angels were
she doesn't have
away.
A fast pass. If you live on the East Coast,
I had
you know
to pay
what a
all
fast
the
pass
tolls
is.
the hard
She
way.
had to stop and pay her tolls.
Yeah, and I stopped for gas. I stopped to eat something one time. So really, it was maybe like 7 hours.
It's good.
I don't know how it happened. So I got here around 4
o'clock.
Yeah, it was a miracle. I was so happy. I didn't even slow down through New York City.
I know, that's amazing.
That's never happened. So I don't know what was going on, but I was happy. And so I got here, and we got a big hug at the door. And Thursday
I made her
night,
go walk around my neighborhood.
Yes, so we went and we walked her dog, and we went up to this little grocery store and all that kind of stuff. Got a bunch of steps in.
We did?
Yeah, which was good after being in the car all day. And then Thursday night we just hung out here and went to bed early. And then Friday morning we got up and we rode the metro, which I've never ridden anything like. I've never been in an underground. What would you call that? A subway?
It's a subway.
It's a subway. So I've never been in anything like that, and I had no idea. I kept asking her questions like, "How do you know which?" Because there were 2 trains. I'm like, "How do you know which one to get on?" You know, stuff like that. So she taught me.
Right, and I've lived here for 25 years.
So yeah, so she taught me how. So if I ever come back and I'm by myself, I'll know what to do. And it was really cool, and it was I was surprised at how clean it was. And it's actually sort of lovely.
Yeah, well, you can't eat. It's against the law to eat or drink in our metro, so that helps keep it clean.
Yeah, it was really nice. So we rode that, and it didn't take
But
very
what's
long.
the most important thing about the metro when you're on the escalator?
Stand to the right, walk to the left.
Please, if you come to DC, remember that.
And so then we got to the place where we were going to get off, and we went up the escalator.
So Smithsonian stop.
At the Smithsonian stop, we went up, and then right there was the Capitol building off in the distance. Tiny. I posted, if you go to Instagram.com/sockbunny, you can see all my pictures. So there's me, a little tiny Capitol building in the background. And then off to the left were the Smithsonian Museums we were going to visit. And then you said off to the right was it's a castle?
The Smithsonian Castle, and then further up, Air and Space, Hirschhorn, like a lot. The Smithsonian has, I think, 10 museums.
And they're free.
They are.
I was very shocked, but I did not know that. So I was pleasantly surprised by that.
That's just for a $1 donation for the map. But.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was fine. And so we went, the first one we went to was American History, because geek for American History. And that was really interesting. And we saw, they had a display of inaugural gowns that were worn by first ladies, and also other dresses that were worn by them, not just inaugural gowns. They had a dress that was a dress worn by Mary Todd Lincoln, which I loved, and they had Michelle Obama's dress.
The dress from the first inauguration.
So pretty, and yeah, from the first. And we saw where they put the second inauguration.
They say the second inaugural gown, if a president has a second, usually goes to the presidential library.
Okay, okay. That was interesting. But they had dresses worn by Jackie Kennedy.
Yeah, they had dresses from. I mean, back they didn't have Martha Washington's dress or Jefferson, but I think they had a dress from every first lady after that.
Yeah, it was really.
And some of the first ladies weren't the wives of the presidents,
which I never knew.
Yeah, probably up until maybe before Eisenhower. Anyway, apparently our country elected men that weren't married to be president. So the first ladies then were their sisters, their nieces, or in the case of a widower, his daughter.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting. So some of in the first ladies' room, they have they'll name the first lady, how long she was the first lady, and at what age she became first lady. So there are women who became first ladies as old as 70, and one young woman became first lady. She was a niece of somebody, Fillmore, maybe President Fillmore, at the age of 19. Imagine that. 19,
I know.
first lady.
What about Jackie Kennedy? She was pretty young.
Yeah, I think the Kennedys were in their 40s.
Yeah, I'm thinking she was like 43. I could be totally wrong.
I can't remember.
Yeah, she was pretty young.
And the Obamas are young too.
Yes. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, and then they had an area where they talked about the history of the presidents and the interesting facts about the presidents and stuff like that. And that was pretty cool. And we talked about this more in depth on her podcast, so you need to go listen to it.
Right, if you want to listen to the details.
Yeah, we're not going to.
Kimberly did play president at one point.
Yes, I did the presidential. Not the Heil Hitler one, but the presidential wave. Not the royal wave, but hi, I'm the president. Thanks for voting for me. And if you go on Instagram, I put the picture on there, and a lot of people said that John should be my vice president. There were several nominations for John for vice president, and my husband, I told him that, and he said that that John was the puppeteer and I was the puppet, and that John was the one who was really going to have the power.
Because John actually he's here, but he hasn't made very many appearances while
he's been sleeping. He's
exhausted.
Tired. Yeah, and it's cold. He doesn't like the cold, so. If you're a new viewer, John is my stuffed bunny, just so you know who we're talking about. So we saw the flag that the Star Spangled Banner was written about.
Right, the flag that was raised over Fort McHenry, which is really, it has an interesting history, so you should go check that out on the Smithsonian
and it's really
website.
Big, but it was flying over a fort.
Yeah,
so it had to be seen, and it had 15 stars and 15 stripes.
Yep.
Very cool. And
it was commissioned.
It was commissioned.
And it took 4 months to make.
Yeah, can you imagine? And it was made from wool and cotton.
Yep. And it's digitized when they were restoring it, or not restoring, but stabilizing it a few years ago. They digitalized it, so there's a place where you can actually poke on a huge screen and see information about that section of the flag. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, very interesting. What else did we see? There was a section on, what was that section called that had like the typewriter and the ruby slippers.
American Stories.
American Stories. So they had the ruby slippers that were worn in the movie The Wizard of Oz.
Which there was more than one pair.
Yeah, didn't it say that. 5?
I think it said there were 5 pairs.
And there was like, oops.
I know, sorry, I have a big grandfather clock.
It's alright.
It's 9 o'clock here.
It's 9 o'clock.
You're going to hear 9 strokes. Done.
So they had a really old typewriter from like the early 1900s.
Yeah, they had all kinds. They had like things that would have pop culture.
They had a Sony Walkman.
Yeah, and
the original Sony Walkman.
But they also had like scientific results of scientific experiments. They had They had the first Mac.
They had
Apple.
They had a polio vaccine.
Yep. It's an interesting. They've changed that exhibit since.
It was a lot of things that have affected
Americans.
Technology, maybe.
Well, technology and culture.
Yeah.
Like it's part of the American experience, I think.
Yeah, it was really very interesting. There was a lot of cool stuff there. Some of it was really, really old, and then some of it was modern. They had even stuff, I think, from the 90s.
Right, well, like the little, was it a dress from Korea for the little girl that's one of the first exhibits we saw. A little girl who was adopted from Korea. Her costume was in there.
Yeah.
She was one of the first children adopted from Korea when the Korean adoptions opened up.
Yeah. So there was just, I mean, you could probably spend a month in that place and not see everything. It was just really, really great. And then
but don't eat there.
Don't eat there. And we found a little gift shop because I always have to buy a souvenir. And I bought an Abraham Lincoln mug, which I didn't bring in to show you guys. And I bought some tea, some American tea.
You have to show that on your phone.
I'll have to show that when I get home. And what else did we see there?
We went briefly through the Revolutionary and Civil War.
Yes, they had like a war section, and they had a sword from the 1600s, and a lot of other swords that were older than that. They had
and muskets and
bayonets. Really like muskets that were like 6 feet long. They were, I don't even know how a person could pick that up. Some bayonets. It was pretty interesting. They had a Civil War section.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, what they have is it's called America at War. It's a whole exhibit. So it starts with the Revolutionary War, the War of 1876, the Civil War, World War I. It just goes through all the America at War, and we only did the Revolutionary and a little bit of the Civil War.
And then we got hungry.
Yes.
And then after that, we saw there was the part about slavery.
Oh yeah, the African American
African-American
That's a really good exhibit. That
really was.
The Smithsonian, one of the future museums is the African American Museum. They're still fundraising for that though, so it won't be ground won't be broken for a few years.
It was very interesting. They had what were some of the
they had stuff
artifacts?
From the March on Washington, and some artifacts from slavery, from.
They had a lace handkerchief and a lace collar that had been worn by Harriet Tubman.
Yeah. Of the
cool.
secessionists.
Yeah, that was really interesting. And I think that's pretty much all we saw at that museum.
Yeah, because Kimberly didn't want to do the modern stuff. She thinks she's seen too.
I don't need to see the modern stuff. I like the old stuff.
Then we realized she missed the flamingos and barbecue.
They evidently had like a food section, and there was a flamingo section, and there was also Coke there evidently too. But I've been to the Coke Museum, so what? So so we decided to leave and go to the Natural History Museum. I think at this point that we were both starting to get tired.
Yeah,
because we had walked a lot,
and I wasn't feeling good.
Yeah,
because we ate at the American History Museum. And I got a little food poisoning.
Yeah. Luckily, we had something different, so I was fine. I was still tired, though. So we went to the Natural History Museum, and the first section we went in had some sea creatures. They had, like, fossils, and I always thought that the fossils, like, that were billions of years ago, the trilobites, is that what they are?
Yep.
I thought they were all, like, this big, but they were, like...
They're huge.
This big. I mean, imagine a big, giant bug this big. Yeah. So they had stuff that was billions of years.
Yeah, it's cool. It's really cool.
Very interesting. You should definitely go. I would say I've only been to 2 of them. I'm going to say go to all of them.
And you could spend a day at each one. And even
we
could have the fossils and dinosaurs. And if the dinosaurs weren't so crowded, we could have spent more time there. I mean, you could. Spend
I would think the
right
Natural History Museum would actually take longer to go through than the American history.
But we only saw a third of the American history.
True, but still, I'm going to say.
If you're interested in modern stuff, though, the American History Museum would take you another day.
Yeah. Yes, easily. I would say give 2 days for each one if you want to see them all thoroughly. So it was really, and it's free, so just don't eat there. And so we rode the metro back home.
You didn't talk about the Hope Diamond, though.
Oh, the Hope Diamond is there at the Natural History Museum, and it was smaller than I thought. For some reason, I was thinking it was like this big, but it's still
brilliant and beautiful.
Yeah, there was a lot of people around it. I had
really
a hard time even getting to it, but they had like every gemstone known to man in this gigantic display.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it was like really long room with like hundreds of different gemstones. Yeah, hundreds, and like each one, like the opal display alone probably had like 100.
Yeah, it's if you like jewels, you should definitely go check it out.
Very interesting. They talked about like how different rocks formed in nature. And that was very interesting.
There's also a whole thing about the volcanoes and anyway, it's cool. We could talk forever about it, but we're not going to. So
yeah, I'm sure if you go to the Smithsonian website.
Oh yeah, you'll find all that
of what's on there. And then we left.
Yep.
Can I say that now?
You can.
Then we left and we rode the metro again and we rode it back. But then, this is so funny, we rode the bus. And I've never ridden a city bus. So that was interesting. And I didn't know like even how to tell which bus you were supposed to get on or like how to pay for the bus or anything. And then like when it was time to get off the stop, she let me pull the cord so I could tell the bus driver that we wanted to get off.
Stop requested.
You know,
it was great. She got the whole urban experience.
I've led a very sheltered life. So that was pretty cool. And then we walked the rest of the way home.
Yep.
And the weather's been beautiful.
Which is like 3 blocks from the bus stop.
Well, you know, hey. It's been in the 50s most
yeah,
of the
it's
time.
been cool.
During the day, it's
cold.
been in the 50s. At night, it's been in the 40s and even 30s, really. I haven't been freezing,
No, it's crisp.
It's crisp.
Yeah, and then so we got home and we had some dinner, and because, as I referenced, I got a little bit of food poisoning, I think. The thing that I love to take people to when I come, I didn't get to do. So my husband stood in for me,
Ralph.
and
He's
took
super
Kimberly
nice.
down to see the monuments.
And he's very well versed in the city because he's lived here forever.
Yep.
Also, he worked at the Library of Congress for 18 years.
Yeah, he was the director of publishing, and they published a lot of books on the city.
So he knew a lot. So he was a really good tour guide. So he and I drove into
down to the mall.
Down to the mall, the right terminology, down to the mall, and we saw the Vietnam Memorial, which was very moving because if you've never been there, they have all these stones, and then they have all the names of the people who died in the war, but they're in the order that they died. It's not alphabetical. It's in the order that they died. And just to walk and walk and walk and walk and pass all these panels, it was really
right. But you got to talk about, so when you start, like the first names are just probably at your ankle.
Yeah,
and it's in they're engraved in black granite. So, and then at nighttime there's lights that shine up from the bottom of it. So it's
it was
just
hard to see
really,
it at night. But it was still moving.
Yeah, it's really moving.
So that it slopes.
So it starts like at your ankles, and then when you get down into the middle of the war, it's a good probably 4 or 5 feet over your head. You're just looking up at
so it slopes
all these
up,
names,
and
then you go back down.
Yeah. It was really moving to see because it was real people's names.
Yep.
And they have these books where you can go look people up alphabetically and see which panel they will be on, and then you can go find them. And it'll even say like what date that person died, and that's just. And the one person we looked up, which was the father of one of his friends, died the year I was born.
Oh.
Yeah, 1966.
Yeah, so it makes it real.
It made it very real, and it was a very personal experience because these are all real people, and it's in the order that they died, and there were thousands and thousands.
Yep.
Thousands.
Yep.
So it was very moving. And of course, you know, you can go online and see pictures.
You can, but it's just not the same.
It's not the same, but if you're curious
see
what we're talking about, because we don't have pictures to show you. So after we left the Vietnam Memorial, we went to the Korean War Memorial.
I thought you went to Lincoln.
Oh no, we went to Lincoln next. Lincoln Memorial, which is the whole reason I even wanted to go to Washington, except for seeing you. It was breathtakingly beautiful, gorgeous. I was a fangirl. I was like, oh, it's him.
It's wonderful during the day, which is when most people have seen pictures of it, but
it's gorgeous at night. You should go on my Instagram and see the picture that I posted of it at night. And I was able to get pretty close and do like an upward shot of it. So it was just magical. There were quite a few people there. And then we went to the Korean War.
I don't know, I wasn't with you, but that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, you know more than I do. So we went to the Korean War Memorial, and that is not what you would think of as a normal memorial, like just a statue or whatever. It's actually these statues of these guys walking in their rain gear and their uniforms and their soldier stuff and their rain gear and all the stuff that they had to carry. And they're these slightly larger than life statues.
They're probably
but they're walking, and it's like they're spaced out as if they're walking through a jungle.
Mm-hmm.
It is real, and especially at night, it almost seems like they're just about to start moving.
Yep.
Very, very.
And if you ever had a
beautiful.
chance to see it in the fog, it's
uncanny.
Can.
I bet it's really sort of creepy.
It is.
Actually. So after that, where would we have gone? Then we would have gone to.
Yeah, but the other thing about that's interesting that a lot of people don't realize about the Korean is the wall that's behind it, because there's a wall with photographs of
Yes,
people that
yes.
were actually
They
in
were
the war.
sort of like etched into the
In
granite.
you just see
And
thousands
at
of them.
night, they were sort of shiny.
Yeah, so it's like ghosts looking back out at you,
It's
which
very
is part of what
moving.
makes it creepy.
Yeah.
But Ralph probably didn't know this. I would have told you that. In the very middle of that wall is a picture of Alan Alda from MASH.
No way.
Because MASH, was
the TV show MASH.
the TV show MASH took place in Korea.
Yeah, the Korean War.
And Alan Alda was the major fundraiser for the Korean War Memorial.
I did not
Yep.
know that.
So I didn't either, except I was on I was giving somebody a moonlight tour, and we were following along after a park ranger, and he pointed it out. So Alda from MASH is in the middle of the wall.
Oh, I love him anyway, so that just makes him even better. And then
then you would have passed the Washington D.C. World War I monument, which
we were walking and we passed that,
and you
that
went
was on
to
the left.
Martin Luther then.
Then we went to see the Martin Luther King Jr., which I had never even seen a picture of it, so I didn't know what to expect. And I frankly was just expecting to walk in and there would be a statue of him, and that's it. That's all I expected. So you are walking up to the monument and you see a mountain, and it's like probably about 2 or 3 stories tall?
Yeah,
it's pretty tall, and it's been split in half. And so you walk through the mountain, and you should Google this and go look at it because it's amazing.
It's really beautiful.
You walk through the mountain, and then when you get behind it, you realize that center part is sort of like been pushed out of the mountain, and you walk around to the other side, and there's this 3-story tall, very wide statue of Martin Luther King Jr., and it is breathtaking. I can't even put into words how fabulous it is.
It's really beautiful.
Very beautiful. And at night, and again, I posted a picture on Instagram if you want to go see it. It is magnificent. I highly recommend that you Google this or go see my picture because it has to be 3 stories tall.
Yeah, it's big.
It's big. It's gorgeous. Really pretty at night.
And then you went to World War II. You finished at World War II.
Yes, we went to the World War II monument, which is very large, and it's sort of like in an oval, and there are a lot of fountains in the middle, and then they have the names of the different states going around on these pillars.
And territories. District of Columbia
and
Puerto Rico is there too.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, so
it's important to remember that.
Yes.
DC.
Yeah, and also, was it Guam?
Yeah, Guam too.
Guam is on there.
Yep.
So, yes. So that was pretty cool. I didn't like that one that much though. That one
that
wasn't
favorite.
a very personal. Like the Vietnam one was very personal, and the Korean one was very personal. And I would say even the Martin Luther King one was a person, but there's no person
it's
at the World War II.
Stone and
it's stones and fountains.
Yeah,
it's pretty.
Yeah, it is.
It's pretty, but it wasn't personal. It didn't move me in any kind of way, So. But it was very, very pretty, and I'm sure it was really expensive.
Sure it was.
And then we went back to his nice warm car. He has heated seats.
Yes, I guess his seat warmers even warm up your back. I don't get to drive in it very often, so.
I mean, I wasn't too cold. You loaned me a snow jacket, a ski jacket.
Yeah, ski jacket.
It wasn't too bad, and I had gloves on.
Yep.
My face was really the only part of me that was cold because I had my hand knit socks on, and and I had a hat on. So really, it's not like I was uncomfortable, but my face was cold. So because it was probably in the 40s.
Yeah, it was definitely in the 40s. So, and then here we are today, Saturday.
So today, when we woke up, we went to the Eastern Market. Which you said is the oldest.
It's the oldest remaining pre-Civil War market. So it's where, if you think about it, back in the day before we had modern supermarkets and that sort of thing, there would have been a series of neighborhood markets where you would go and get your, meat from the butcher and produce from the greengrocer. And anyway, so Eastern Market is this pre-Civil War market on Capitol Hill that has within it 2 vegetable mongers, I think 2 dairy shops, one with cheese and one with milk, and a fishmonger, 2 butchers, a bakery. The best breakfast you'll ever get in DC, which is called the Market Lunch, but the line was too long and we'd already eaten anyway. So that's all inside the market, and the market's open Monday through Saturdays. But Kimberly was more impressed with what was outside the market, which is only on Saturdays and Sundays.
And they had some artists there who had paintings. There were photographers that had photos of Washington, D.C. and various sites. They had photos of other things too. There were people that had vintage stuff there.
Yeah, like the vintage prints you liked of
yes.
1890s D.C.,
yeah,
which was pretty
really cool. They had people who made handcrafted jewelry.
Lots of jewelry.
A lot of jewelry. Probably maybe like almost half of the
I'd
stalls
say at least
were
half were jewelry. And then a lot is paintings and prints.
Yeah, there were some very talented people.
Really, it's and it was a great day to be outside.
It was hard not to shop. I behaved.
She didn't get anything.
I didn't get anything. Well, see, because I knew that later we were going to go to two places. We went to Looped Yarn Works,
right,
which is her local yarn store, and she works as a teacher
an
there.
Instructor.
And they are also the ones who sponsor your podcast.
Loop, yeah.
So it's a very, it's adorable. It's like you have your cash register in the middle, and then there's a room on the right, and there's a room on the left, and they have a pretty big selection.
Yeah, it's for a shop that's short on square footage. We've done a great job of the square bins or floor to ceiling height, and
I would say it's definitely worth the visit if you're in the area.
Yeah, it's wonderful, and we have a lot of local yarns,
and the people were really nice.
And it was buzzing today. There was
very crowded today. Yeah, you could barely even walk.
We were planning on sitting and knitting, but there really wasn't any.
No, there was no.
It didn't really fit.
No room at the end.
Kind of tired too.
Yeah, we were getting tired.
So that's where she got that.
That's where I got the hat souvenir.
And then we came home for just a little bit because we had somebody coming to look at my house, and I wanted to make sure it looked right for the people that would be coming through. And then we left to go to
the Basilica,
which is a national shrine. So if you're Catholic, which I know some of you that watch Kimberly are really interested in this, the national shrine is actually the United States National Catholic Shrine. It's here in Washington, D.C., and I forget sometimes how big it is because I'm used to it because I've gone a number of times, but
it was massive.
It's really big.
It was huge. And it's 2 levels. So you have the top level, which is where you have the cathedral and you do mass.
The main church.
The main church. Yeah, the main church. But there are tons of little side altars, all to different devotions.
Huge devotion to Mary. I'm thinking any devotion there is to Mary.
They had the Polish, Our Lady of the Rosary,
Vietnamese, Our Lady of Guadalupe,
a Korean one, a Filipino one.
I also saw a Japanese one when I went back downstairs after. I mean, they're just any devotion to Mary. There's probably an altar there for her.
Yeah.
And then a lot of saints.
Yes, a lot of saints. So that was just on the top level, and you go down to the crypt.
The crypt church.
The crypt, which sounds scary, but it's not.
It's not.
It's very well lit. And then there's a smaller.
Yeah, but it's still, it would be like, I would say probably for any regular parish, it's as big as a parish church.
Yeah.
The crypt church. And that's where, I've been to a number of masses up in the Basilica in the main church, but as I was telling Kimberly, when a good friend of ours passed away a couple of years ago, his mass was down in the crypt church, and it's more intimate. So
yeah, the ceiling is lower.
Yeah, if you were going to get married or actually even have a funeral or if there was some mass to be celebrated for you at the Basilica, I would recommend the crypt church because it's just more intimate. And I actually think that's where they film when it's on what is that
No, EWTN they do in the big church.
Oh, it is in the big church?
Yes, yeah.
I thought it was
the ones I've seen anyway. Which, speaking of that, on Friday, November 1st, the noon mass will be.
That's right. It's going to be
for all
saints.
For All Saints Day. They'll be showing the church where I was on TV.
Yep.
On EWTN, which is a Catholic cable station. So.
When we got there, it was really crowded.
Yes, it was.
We were going
crowded.
for 5:15 mass, and I knew we wanted to get there a little bit before so Kimberly could see.
We got there before.
At least an hour before, yeah.
And it was very crowded because there were a whole bunch of people there.
Tons of people there, and it turned out it was a pilgrimage from the parish of Newark in Newark, New Jersey. So they had come down, and we saw a lot of people there, and we saw a number of buses in the parking lot, but we didn't.
It was crazy crowded.
Pay too much attention to it until at the end of mass, the priest that was celebrating the mass said, "Oh, I just wanted to tell you all there were 60 buses of people that had come down from
60
Trenton
tour buses full
to
of
do
people.
a pilgrimage at the Basilica. So
Yeah.
that's why it was so crowded.
And they were there like the whole day. They had gotten
Yeah.
there like at 10 and they
10.
were doing different
And
things.
they were
throughout
leaving
the
at
day.
5:30.
It was crazy.
It was crazy. The
So,
line to the bathroom was nuts.
and we did go into the gift shop
Mm-hmm.
and
Kimberly
I got
got
a few
something.
things and it was really nice. Really, it was way bigger because I've seen it on TV a few times, but things always look smaller on TV. I
They
think.
do. And actually, the Basilica, if you're Catholic and you come to DC, you should definitely make a trip there. Even if you're not Catholic, it would be worth coming to see
If you like art,
the art and the
if you like religious
chapels
art,
and the sculptures and the statues. It is a beautiful, and it's just a beautiful piece of art.
and the architecture is amazing. Yeah.
Don't come when there's a pilgrimage going on.
No, check first. It wasn't that bad, and by the time our mass started at 5:15,
They were
most of
going
the people
because
had
they left
cleared
at
out. So
5:30.
we were actually able to sit pretty close up
Yep.
front. So
Yep.
it was a beautiful mass, beautiful. So thank you very
Sure, it was
much
fun.
for all the driving
It was
that you have done
wasn't
and
that
all
much.
the teaching me how to use the metro and how to ride the bus and putting up with me going gift shop.
No, what was it though? You're gonna
I
pay
have to
me
go
a
in the
nickel
gift
for
shop.
every time you said cool.
Oh yeah, I told her because I always go, oh, that's cool. Oh, that's cool. That is so cool.
She does. That's probably every third sentence. It's really cool.
So I told her I was going to pay her a nickel. So I think you could probably.
We're gonna retire tomorrow.
Yeah.
When she pays me off.
I'm gonna have to talk to my husband about that. Honey, how many
The
nickels
bean
do you have?
counter, I don't think that's gonna work.
Yeah, but it was cool.
Yeah. No, it was fun. I'm glad you came. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, and thank you for putting up with me
It's
and
been fun.
my coolness and agreeing to be on the podcast. And you guys check out DC Unraveled, her audio podcast. You will really enjoy it, especially if you like history of any kind. And she gives interesting facts, and I'm a big fan.
Thanks.
I'm a fangirl.
Thanks.
All right, so I guess, wow, 46 minutes into it, we talked more than we thought we were going to. We thought, 15 minutes, we'll sit down. But anyway, thank you for putting up with us. And if you've made it this far, we really appreciate it. And I hope you have a great week. I will be back home next time I see you, Lord willing. And I will talk to you later. Have a great week and keep on crafting.
Or, as I would say, have a capital day.
Have a capital day. Bye.
Bye.